Hey, hey, hey. Greetings and salutations. It's been a hot minute. My name is Simon Rice, and welcome to episode 23 of Lines on the Page. Today, if you haven't noticed, we're going to be drawing Mario and Luigi. Wow, I already got someone in the comments already. Hey, Jay, what is up? So, before I start with all my further ados and heres and theres, I'm going to do a quick little housekeeping. Just to let you know, the Haven Comics is located in 1871 Slaughter Road in Madison. And if you happen to like this show, any other show we happen to put on, please remember to like and subscribe. And if you're wondering where you can follow me on social media, if you happen to be watching this video on YouTube, and you just go through Linktree, at T Price Artworks, and that's where you will find me on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and also Tumblr, Mastodon. So, Mario and Luigi. So Super Mario Bros., the original one on the original gray and black Nintendo system. That was actually the very first video game I had ever played in my entire life. And I think I was about 5 years old, 4 or 5 years old when I of course, terrible at it, which would make sense, being so young of an age. But I think a lot of people were pretty terrible playing it the first time around. Because it's always the first Goomba that hits you right at the very beginning if you don't jump on time. Tots coming in. Weirdly enough, Jay actually beat you, so I'm kind of disappointed, Todd, just a little bit, but I'm glad you're here. Um, so one of the things I wanted to do today, as far as just drawing the two very iconic characters, such as Mario and Luigi, is wanting to uh, basically make it a little bit more stylized, do it as something completely different. I'm don't want to say completely different, but definitely different than how they are currently drawn, but yet still giving a pretty good nod. You can actually tell, yeah, this is Mario, this is Luigi. And the second thing is using very exaggerated body shapes, or just exaggerated shapes in general, for both of these characters. Because when we're really thinking about it, Mario is like a ball, and Luigi is like kind of like a squash. Um, when we're thinking about just shapes and stuff like that, once I start putting it down here, which by the way, we're going to be doing this on a much larger piece of paper. I've been trying to hammer out a couple different stuff for prints down in the future, which the Jason Pearson body bags prints, about to be finished with the colors on that, so should be pumping that real soon, as well as a 25th anniversary Resident Evil 2 print as well, and hope to get both of these out into the world well before the expo. So yeah, let's go ahead and bloop, do this number, and we're going to make our way towards the drawing board. And I'm not going to be focused on colors today because we're just going to be simply sticking with just, the line art and getting the idea down with shapes. But, like I said, I've been working on trying to hammer out the stuff for prints, just to get that out of the way. And I've also got a 10-page pitch that I'm doing with Reed Beeman. So trying to at least get the storyboard stuff done and out of the way to get that okay before I start continuing on, which again, using it on much larger piece of paper, with the dimensions being 11 by 17. So practically almost the size of this drawing board. So, but yeah, so like I said earlier, when I'm thinking about Mario and Luigi, I've always thought of Mario just being like really short and squatty. And you know what? If anyone here has ever watched VeggieTales, I'm just going to refer to Mario as a tomato and Luigi as a cucumber. So I think that's probably a little bit more accurate in terms of the shapes of the characters, but we're going to be wiggling around it as far as just the anatomy is concerned. Which I know people who are just super into just anything and everything regarding um, both of these characters. I had no idea that they were twins. I mean, I can understand, partners, brothers, whatever, but I had no idea that they were twins until like maybe a couple of years ago. But you know what? I guess that's how it goes. So, um, going to be heavily going back and forth with a specific reference, and I think just having both of them jump up, trying to hit the coin brick. Um, so, all right. So Luigi is going to be on the left side, Mario is going to be on the right side, because I'm going back and forth with this one reference. And like I said, if we think about Luigi being right here, and then Mario is about right here. So I'm actually kind of curious what everyone's favorite Mario game is. I mean, if you've only played the original or Super Mario 64 or anything like that, I mean, let me know in the chat. Uh, but played several uh, over the decades, and I think when I get back down to it, my personal favorite is Super Mario RPG, which was a collaboration between Nintendo and SquareSoft, the same people who did Final Fantasy, and Chrono Trigger, and a few other RPG games at the time. And I think one of the things I just really loved about it was just because it was, um, drastically different than playing Super Mario, and definitely different than which there were several very different Mario games during the 90s. I mean, you had Dr. Mario, you had Mario Tennis, you had, of course, the beginnings of Mario Kart. Um, I can't remember if there was a Mario Party for the Super Nintendo or the Super Mario Party on Nintendo 64. If anyone knows the answer, please let me know in the chat. Um, so my knowledge of that is not very good, but um, if I had to say there was like an all-time favorite, definitely, definitely enjoy uh, Super Mario RPG, because I mean it's so much of a great storyline, uh, and just the classic JRPG elements of your characters doing specific move sets, and equipping items and stuff like that. Just all the fun things that you would think about when it comes to SquareSoft game from the '90s, and Solon, Koopa Island, Bowser's Castle, anywhere, everywhere in between. Which apparently they were trying to do a sequel of Super Mario RPG, but because SquareSoft left Nintendo to be primarily with Sony with the PlayStation, created a lot of issues, which there were some issues already between the two companies. And so uh, they kind of did do a sequel. It was called Paper Mario, which was okay, but it was like watching like the Muppets TV show when they're all babies. It was kind of like that because like Mario, he didn't have his mustache. He was, a teeny tiny little baby. Um, I never didn't latch onto that. Uh, Yoshi's Island was all right for that time period. Um, but yeah, if I had to put like a top three down, it's definitely Super Mario RPG, Super Mario 64, and Super Mario Bros. 2, Super Nintendo. Super Mario World and Super Nintendo, New Super Mario Bros. On the Wii. Haven't played that yet, but I have played the new Mario Kart. That was a lot of fun. I did that on New Year's Eve with a couple of friends, and really loved playing that. Also got to play the new Mario Party 2, which is interesting because you were able to use previous maps from previous Mario Party games in it, which I thought was really cool. We were playing hours at the GBA. So, out of all of the uh, stuff that came out for the GBA, that was actually one of them that I never got to play that I wanted to. The only games from the Game Boy Advance that I got to play were uh, what was it? Oracles of Seasons, Oracle of Ages, which was the dual Legend of Zelda game, Golden Sun, Advance Wars, and uh, the GBA port for Lunar, which at that time period, this was like God, Game Boy Advance. That was like what 2004, 2005, somewhere around there. So I was a senior in high school, um, and I was diehard heavy into the JRPGs at the time. So, well, bring down Luigi's head just a bit. But whenever I do play either Mario Kart or Mario Party, I'm usually playing as Luigi. And most of that is just because, uh, you know, for those of you who have been around me long enough, green is my favorite color, um, which is very odd considering how much black that I wear. But uh, green is and has always been my favorite color. And growing up, it was always really interesting because like whenever I was playing the original Mario Kart uh, growing up, no one wanted Luigi. Everyone wanted to play everyone else. Too many people fighting over who got to play Mario. But me, I always like to play Luigi, which, as much as I love the character, I hate the fact that I've never played Luigi's Mansion, and that is something that I do want to rectify. Uh, which I haven't got around to purchasing a Switch. I've always had told myself during the shutdown about doing so, and I just never did. Um, but uh, there's been a lot of good stuff pumping out uh, for the Switch. Many. Okay. So, as some of you may have seen on Facebook, uh, this past Wednesday I turned 36. Happy birthday to me. And also, uh, not this uh, past Friday and Saturday, but the one before, uh, I was at Low Mill for their Comic Con, and uh, super thankful to see some familiar faces there, and which was that Sunday. I, you know, I woke up and I was just like, I am my social battery is gone. um, so I hated the fact that I wasn't because I was originally planning for this episode to be last Sunday, and I, you know, I would rather take the L and have a week off and postpone this video than be completely uh, brain incoherent, what have you. Now, as much as I love the cuteness and the iconicness of both their faces, here is the one thing that I've done with a couple of just random sketches that I did for little kids. Whenever I just happen to get requested any sort of Mario character, especially between the two of them and Wario and Waluigi, is instead of doing the full on seeing their eyes, I'm going to give them some style, some attitude, and still keeping the big noses and the mustaches because that's just kind of trademark in and of itself. Ears right there, and but I like the trademark hats that they've always had, but I like drawing them super big and just kind of covering their eyes just a bit. I think just being a person who has been wearing a lot of baseball hats as of late, kind of made sense for me to do that. All right. So now that we have the layout, basically for both of them, instead of me just jumping straight into doing inks, I'm actually going to be cleaning up some of the lines just a little bit, and then we'll go straight into inks. But as you can see, I've always, even though they are shown to be, sorry, having hiccups. Um, Even though that they are technically, pixelized, animated, what have you, looking at the characters, obviously Luigi is about uh, somewhere between half a head and a head taller than Mario, even in the video games to a degree. But um, with this, I really wanted to show off the fact of just Luigi being a much larger guy, or taller guy, I should say, than Mario, and just definitely wanted to have Mario just be a little bit squatty. Thank you, Jay. Thank you, thank you. So I had mentioned this before in the chats, or sorry, the event discussion thing. That who would win, Mario or Popeye? And as much as I want Popeye to win, the problem is that, well, also the same problem with Mario. They both have to eat something to get super powerful, right? And the power only lasts for X amount of time. The problem with, I guess, with Popeye is that he has to have spinach, nothing else, because spinach gives him his, you know, super strength. But with Mario, I mean, he basically consumes like anything and everything, almost like Kirby. Um, so I think when it gets down to a death match between Mario and Popeye, I think Mario would probably win. But if anyone thinks otherwise and they can put up a good rebuttal, would love to hear it. Remember if they have. Okay, so they don't have a pocket on the front. So I have no idea if there's going to be any uh, Gen Zers watching this or not, but um, anyone. So I myself would be classified as a elder millennial, and of course, Gen Xers growing up would have probably had also had seen this as well. But in the glory days of Happy Meals, where you got stupid awesome toys from both McDonald's and Burger King, but I believe this was a McDonald's only thing that they basically did Super Mario toys for the Happy Meal, and I actually do still have the Goomba at my house, which I meant to bring that. It's sitting on my desk, and I just completely forgot when I walked out. But um, I really don't remember if McDonald's did anything like that for Super Mario 64 or not, or if that was just a giant hassle the first time around between uh, Nintendo and McDonald's. But uh, that was always one of the coolest Happy Meal toys that I remember getting as a kid. And of course, when Hook came out, there was also some really cool Happy Meal toys for that. And I also remember when there were Transformer toys for McDonald's as well, but they weren't, it wasn't like, Starscream or Megatron or anything like that. It was actually like, a large thing of fries, but it gets turns into a robot, or the box for the hotcakes meal, but it turns into, you know, a jet or something. Yeah, just random crap like that, which I thought was a weird collaboration thing between McDonald's and Hasbro, but apparently it worked. All right, Popeye can go toe to toe with Bruno before his spinach powers. Bruno being his Bowser. Yeah, yeah, that would make sense for sure. I, All right. So even though you know, their feet are super round and cartoony, something that I've seen uh, people struggle with is people being just other artists struggling with drawing feet at different angles. And before anyone says, "Is this another crack in Liefeld?" Well, it could be, but it's not. Um, so uh, when we're drawing feet that just happen to be at a specific angle, in this case, because both of them are jumping up in the air, um, we're going to be basically drawing on what's going to be considered as the soles or the treads of the shoe. So we start from point from right here. So I'm going to do this. So we got basically a triangle type point going right here. You would think, well, that doesn't really make any sense. But when it comes to this angle, it's going to make sense. So we're going to create a bit of a curve from point A to point B, and then from point B to point C, it's got that curve going on. So now that we have that established, we got this part of the foot going to uh, the curve, because if we're drawing like an actual foot, the ankle would be like right here with it going in that way. So, but because it's a kind of a cartoony character, um, we're going to have the heel, the curve of it, right about there. Now we're going to erase that curvature and we're going to straighten it up. And we're going to do the same thing for this foot. Point A, point B, point C, curve in. there you have it. Shoes that were meant for plumbing. Yeah. Yeah. So that took me a while to figure out, just from having to look at how other people have done it before. So I'm pretty sure there's another method. There were five different methods to do the same thing, but uh, that was the one that I kind of figured out for myself. Um, and like all things, geometry exists. So now that we got all the lines here, we're going to start inking. If there's anything that I feel like I do just as much as actual drawing, it's erasing. Right. Let's do this thing. So even though I made a little bit of a mistake right there with my overshotting of trying to do that, you can easily fix it up with a little bit of white ink.
The best part about doing a character or characters as simplistic as this is that I can literally just let the pen just glide onto the page.
Uh, what are my thoughts on the classic Super Mario movie? Um,
Well,
honestly, I would have to rewatch that movie because I only saw it the one time, and that was like maybe I don't know, let's see, 93. So it came out when I was I think I was in first grade when that movie came out. But yeah, and I probably haven't seen it since probably around that time period. So um, I do think if I remember correctly, was it Bob Hoskins that played Mario, or was it someone else? I know John Leguizamo was Luigi. Um, that's really all that I remember.
But now that I'm thinking while working on this in terms of that 1993 Super Mario's movie is concerned, um, if I remember correctly, it was only one of a handful of video game turn live action movies that just did not do well in the theaters. I think the only one that actually did do well was Mortal Kombat. Well, the first one, not the second one. Um, which, weirdly enough, the same director for that film also ended up directing Event Horizon, which is drastically different than that. Which I don't even know if he ended up uh, doing anything else. Anything being the director, Paul Anderson. And I want to grab my stencil. Um, yeah, Christopher Lambert was a odd choice. I'm not sure why you would pick a Frenchman to play a Chinese god. That didn't make any sense whatsoever. For anyone who isn't looking at the chat and wanting to know exactly what I'm talking about, it was just a weird choice. They could have picked an Asian actor at the time to play Raiden, and they didn't. That was poor casting on their end. Perfect casting for Shang Tsung. Could not think of a better person to play that character, at least for the '90s. Um, but looking back at, say, the Street Fighter film, uh, the Street Fighter 2 animated film, miles and miles above and beyond in terms of how good it is compared to the live action catastrophe. Um, and part of that was just because it actually followed uh, the animated film, that is, actually followed storyline for the game versus whatever that was that they put out. Do characters like these leave any room for artistic liberties to be feel compelled to stay with the class of traits? Um, that's a really good question. I think because the character designs are so iconic, um, that when it comes to the plumbers, so that's Mario, Luigi, Waluigi, and Wario, I definitely feel like they need to be as close as possible to the original. Bowser, again, like to keep it a little bit close to the original. However, the princesses, Peach, Daisy, and Rosalina, and I want to say that there's a fourth one. I could be mistaken about that. Those I can definitely get away with some artistic liberty with it. Um, But yeah, um, it's a really good question. To be perfectly honest, I know that when it gets to characters, especially with anime characters, I like to leave some artistic liberty um, with trying to uh, do my own takes on specific characters. But yeah, with specific people that have a specific style about it, and everyone kind of knows who they are, it kind of makes sense. In the case of uh, Mario and Luigi, like to keep it as close as possible, but then stretch it out just a little bit. Van Damme looking as Guile, yeah, that was epic. Van Damme acting as Guile, not as epic. And the only reason I'm saying that is that until you watch the Street Fighter 2 animated film, then you'll understand. Because that was the best representation of all the characters from Street Fighter 2. If we're referring to the stencils and stuff like that, yeah, every now and then they really do come in handy. Um, but when it comes to drawing tools, I think the ones that I tend to use the most is just a regular straight ruler or a 90-degree angle triangle. Those are the only two that I typically use the most. Yes, good old Carrie. Um, which I don't know, he's a really interesting actor because like typically he gets typecasted a lot as a villain, but I often do wonder how he would come across as a protagonist or a good guy type character. I really do feel like he needs to get more of those kind of roles, which of course I'm not even sure if he's still acting anymore. But yes, he actually did, which I thought was a really good, um, keeping it all within that little universe. And let's see if I can maybe, possibly, sure. No. All right. Going to lightly erase some of the pencil lines in the back. Then we'll be dropping in some line weight and do one or two small areas of touch ups, spot blacks, and then we'll be completely done. Ready? Let's see. Yeah, it was extremely goofy of a film. Which the 90s, I'm not saying that the 80s weren't as well, but the 90s were definitely just honing in on the campiness of stuff. Didn't matter if it was, like a video game movie or a comic book movie or um I don't know. There was just a lot of goofiness and puns galore, basically. Yep. That is, yeah, it makes sense. Yeah. Which, now that I'm thinking about it, speaking of Street Fighter, I want to say it is. it's either Cammy or Chun Li, but apparently, according to their character bios, one of them had their birthday recently. So, um, which Chun Li is, at least according to her uh, made up character birth record, whatever, she's like 50 something years old, maybe close to 60, and she is aging like Michelle Yeoh very well. Would you check to see if a copy of Daily Duo 5 is on the shelf and toss it I dot my box dot. I filmed the short Friday, forgot to buy. I thought you bought the book, but yeah, I'll check to see if there's still a copy. It is Chun-Li? Okay. Now I did see that if I remember correctly with Street Fighter 6, they actually uh brought back a move that she used in uh, the animated movie against that British guy, basically just kind of chiropractors him to his death. Apparently, they brought that move in for Street Fighter Six, which, as much as I like the 3D model stuff that they have, um, I definitely enjoy the 2D-ness of uh, Alpha. And I think the character designs in Alpha were probably my favorite. All right. Yeah, sure. I'll check on that after the show and make sure to put that in your box. Yeah, you and I probably saw the same trailer because that was getting circulated a lot on social media. Right. And I'm clean up some of these. Work. Hand of destiny. Work.
Here we are. Mario e Luigi. Haha. And like always, sign. So there we have it. Mario Luigi. All right. So thank you guys for coming in, hopping in the chat, and watch my ever expansive madness go straight into this piece. Okay, not really, but it is nice to have this down and in the books, and also to have another reason because March 10th is Mario Day, and that was literally just 2 days ago. So it was definitely good timing on my end, or good timing. I'm gonna end off the show with the last bits of housekeeping. Haven Comics, located at 1871 Slaughter Road in Madison, Alabama, which, by the way, the Huntsville Comic and Pop Expo that is happening on April 21st through 23rd. Excuse me. Haven Comics does have the tickets for single day passes and the weekend passes as well. So if you're wanting to get one, please stop by during store hours, Wednesday through Sunday, because that is when the store is open and you can pick that up there. And also pick up a comic off of your shelf. If you want any recommendations, please let or just ask anyone who happens to be working on to ask, you know, what it is that they could possibly suggest that they're personally reading that we have that you yourself might get into. Uh, and also, please remember to like and subscribe, not just this YouTube channel, but also the Facebook page as well. And also, if you're wanting to know where you can find me on social media, you can like and follow me through at T Price Artworks, which is basically my username handle on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Tumblr, Mastodon, Hive. And there we have it. Next Sunday's show is going to be on Hawkgirl, and it's going to be a hell of a lot more detailed than this. So don't worry, because it may end up being a slightly longer show. I'm not sure. But it's definitely going to be one that I've been wanting to try to do for the longest time. And now I've got the perfect opportunity to do some JSA characters this month. So I will see you then next Sunday. Laters.